It's all part of us. We can all choose love. It'll lift you up.
Welcome to Lesson 3 of the Choosing Love at Home Parenting Program. Lesson 3 is about courage. If you're here at Lesson 3, then you've completed both 1 and 2. Here's a brief recap of Lesson 2. We introduced the Choose Love formula, which is courage plus gratitude plus forgiveness plus compassion in action equals choosing love. We discussed ways to implement the Choose Love formula and to set the intention to use the formula at home. Hopefully you had a chance to post the formula and discuss it with your child. Then we talked about what love means to you and your family and encouraged you to make positive affirmations or words or phrases part of your environment at home. Hopefully you have had a chance to put up a whiteboard, chalkboard, maybe even sticky notes on the fridge. We also learned more about emotions and feelings and thoughts and about minding the gap. Now we're going to talk about the first character value in the formula for choosing love, courage. It is first because it's the most important. Maya Angelou said, "Without courage, we cannot practice any other virtue with consistency." Implementing gratitude, forgiveness, and compassion require courage. You have to have courage to be grateful, especially when things aren't going your way. You have to have courage to forgive, especially when the person who hurt you isn't sorry. And you have to have courage to step outside of the busyness of your own life to help someone else. Courage is the ability and willingness to work through obstacles despite feeling embarrassed, afraid, reluctant, or uncertain. It is when you are unsure and afraid and you do the right thing anyway. Big acts of courage help you confront pain or danger. Small acts of courage help you with everyday challenges, like being honest, expressing your thoughts and your feelings, and when you help others. Courage is stepping outside of your comfort zone. It's normal to feel uncomfortable when you're practicing courage. It could be because you are afraid or unsure because you don't know the outcome, or because you're trying something new. Being vulnerable or expressing your true feelings takes courage. I want to take the time to point something else out to you. When your child is disagreeing with you, this is their way of speaking up for themselves. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're against you. For toddlers, this is a phase and they learn so much from it. When you respond with love, you're allowing them to assert themselves. This is an important skill for the future. Don't you want to raise a child who will say no when all his friends are doing something he knows isn't right? How will he have the courage to do that if you are responding negatively when he speaks out? For teenagers, this is a phase too. Research shows that the brain in teenagers isn't fully developed. Some parts of their brain are actually more developed than others, like drama and risk-taking, which, once you think about it, makes perfect sense. So when your teenager is taking risks, remind yourself of this fact. It's how their brains are wired. Talk to them about this. Remember that a disagreement or rebellious behavior isn't just a challenge to your authority. It's an integral learning experience for your toddler or your teenager. This is incredibly empowering realization. Wow, it really is up to me how I thoughtfully respond, this minding the gap, as opposed to impulsively reacting in a situation. This, in turn, positively impacts us physically, mentally, and emotionally. It can literally turn our day around into a joyful situation instead of a depressed one. We can do this with our thoughts. I'll give you an example. Someone cuts me off in traffic. I can choose to let it go. Someone pushes my buttons at work. I don't have to react. We always have the choice in every interaction. So of course, we can always be kind, even when someone isn't being kind to us. We can always choose love. We can also bring the neuroscience in that we learned from the first lesson. When we react angrily, we are doing this from our emotional brain, and we're acting like a numbat. We can nudge the numbat to hug the human brain, or our rational brain, where logic and reasoning reside. Your kids have learned this as well. Gently remind them to hug the human when you see their emotions and feelings running away with them. There are tremendous scientifically researched benefits to practicing courage. When we're aware of the benefits of doing something, we experience them even more. Each one of the following benefits is scientifically researched and proven. Courage is confidence. Courage creates a sense of leadership. Practicing courage enables us to be upstanders as opposed to bystanders who stand by while bad things happen. Courage releases all those great neurochemicals that make us feel good. It assists in us mastering emotions and practicing emotional intelligence. Courage empowers us to accomplish things and make good choices. Courage helps us overcome fear and overconfidence, which is when we might be tempted to take unnecessary risks. Courage supports us in finding balance, like with thoughtful responses. Courage actually helps us to counter bullying. Yes, there's research that shows that when you have the courage to stand up to bullying behavior, that behavior stops in 10 seconds. This is actually something that students have experienced practicing courage in the Choose Love Enrichment program at their schools. You have a choice to use your courage as a parent or a caregiver. These are some of the ways you can use your courage. It takes courage to be a role model, like admitting when you're wrong, staying calm when you want to scream. It takes courage to be a good listener and really give your child undivided attention. It takes courage to be firm and to set boundaries. Rules and boundaries are so important for your children. Next is a clip of Scarlett talking about her son Jesse's courage in the classroom.
This is a difficult story, but the fact is, Jesse actually saved 9 of his classmates' lives before losing his own. Facing the gunman who'd entered his first grade classroom, Jesse yelled for his friends to run, saving their lives. I talk about this courage because this is the same courage that we all have within us. It's not the image of courage that we're bombarded with by the media, on TV and in movies. The ultimate act of courage is laying down your life for your friends. Hopefully none of us will be called to do this, but true courage is kind and gentle. Courage is telling the truth and doing the right thing, even when it's not the easiest thing to do. Courage is minding the gap between our emotions and feelings and thoughtfully responding. It takes courage to choose love. It's Jesse's example of courage and his older brother's actions in the face of personal tragedy, whose story I'll share later, that I model my own understanding and perspective of courage after. I think if my boys chose to do what they did, faced with extreme hardship, then I certainly can get up every day, put my best foot forward, be my authentic self, and do what I have to do to spread a message of choosing love.
What a little hero he was. There was a reason that he was given a hero's burial. He earned it. I want to take a minute now to talk about Scarlett's courage. You know that Scarlett and I are friends, and we've talked about how she has the courage to carry on after what happened to Jessie. During one conversation, she told me the experience gave her incredible perspective on what's really important in life, and that there wasn't a lot for her to fear. She told me that she realized how fear had dictated a lot of the choices in her life. And now that she had this perspective, it helped her to choose love. When I use this perspective, I realize that the issues that I face on a daily basis aren't as difficult as I make them out to be. Scarlett actually talks about this gift of perspective. I am actually grateful that I have parenting challenges to deal with. We sometimes need to put our parenting in perspective. Challenges help us to grow, and we're wired for resilience. Also, remind yourself that every moment doesn't have to be a perfect teaching moment. We need to have quality time with our children and be grateful that we have them. Our children are a miracle, and every moment that we have with them is priceless. Now I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself with gratitude. Just think about it. It's important for us to keep our perspective. Scarlett was the best mother that she could be for Jessie because she let him be himself. She was present for Jessie. She spent quality time with him, and they had a lot of fun. Scarlett told me her experience changed her perspective of fear and helped her to choose love. I want to talk about the power of choice for a moment. We actually choose how we behave in every interaction. Our emotions, which spark our feelings and thoughts, then influence our behavior. When we have the awareness that we can change our thoughts or choose our thoughts, this impacts our feelings, which in turn affects our behavior. It takes incredible courage to let your child fail at something so he or she can learn resilience. It takes seriously big courage not to bail your child out or enable him. It takes courage to use your emotional intelligence and take the time to respond. It also takes courage to ask for help when you need it. It takes courage to support other parents and not judge them. And we all have the courage that it takes to do these things and more. Thanks. We did it. Take the time to process and practice. Please be sure to try all of this at home. And that wraps up Lesson 3 on courage. Thanks for joining me. Have fun implementing what you have learned. Bye.
It's all part of us. We can all choose love.